Welcome forward here. I'd like to introduce another little pamphleture by Dale Carnegie, and it's entitled How to Save Time and Get Better Results in Conferences. This copyright is from 1972. I'm going to show you how one business executive eliminated 70% of all the time he formerly spent trying to solve business problems. His name is Leon Shimkin. He is a chairman of the board of directors of one of the most foremost publishers house in New York, Simon & Schuster Incorporated, Rockefeller Center, New York, New York. Here is Leon Shimkin's experience in his own words. Quote, "For 15 years, I spent almost half of every business day holding conferences, discussing problems. Should we do this or that, or do nothing at all? We would get tense, twist in our chairs, walk the floor, argue, and go around in circles. When night came, I would be utterly exhausted. I fully expected to go on doing this sort of thing for the rest of my life. I had been doing it for 15 years, and it never occurred to me that there was a better way of doing it. If anyone had told me I could eliminate the 3/4 of all the time I spent in those worried conferences and 3/4 of my nervous strain, I would have thought he was a wild-eyed, sap-happy armchair optimist. Yet I devised a plan that did just that. I had been using this plan for 8 years. It has performed wonders in my efficiency, my health, and my happiness." It sounds like magic, but like all magic, it is extremely simple. End of quote. Quote again. "Here is the secret. First, I immediately stopped the procedure I had been using in my conferences for 15 years. A procedure that began with my troubled associates reciting all the details of what had gone wrong and ended up by asking, quote, 'What shall we do?' End quote. Second, I made a new rule, a rule that everyone who wishes to present a problem to me must first prepare and submit a memorandum answering these 4 questions. Question 1. What is the problem? In the old days, we used to spend an hour or 2 on a worried conference without anyone knowing specifically and concretely what the real problem was. We used to work ourselves into a lather discussing our troubles without ever troubling to write out specifically what our problem was. Question 2. What are the causes of the problem? As I look back over my career, I am appalled at the wasted hours I have spent on worried conferences without ever trying to find out clearly the conditions which lay at the root of the problem. Question 3. What are the possible solutions? In the old days, one man in the conference would suggest one solution. Someone else would argue with him. Tempers would flare. We would often get cleared out off the subject, and at the end of the conference, no one had written down all the various things we could do to attack the problem. Question 4. What are the possible solutions? I used to go into a conference with a man who had spent hours worrying about a situation and going around in circles without ever once thinking through all the possible solutions and then writing them down. Quote, "This is the solution I recommended." End quote. My associates rarely come to me now with their problems. Why? Because they have discovered that in order to answer those 4 questions, they have to get all the facts and think their problem through. And after they have done that, they find, in 3/4 of the cases, they don't have to consult me at all, because the proper solution had popped out in a piece of bread popping out from the electric toaster. Even in those cases where consultations is necessary, the discussion takes about 1/3 the time formally required, because it proceeds along in an orderly, logical path to be reasoned conclusion. Quote, much less time is now consumed in the house of Simon and Schuster in worrying and talking about what is wrong, and a lot more action is obtained towards making things right. End of quote. Please memorize these 4 all-important questions. Let's all do what Leon Schemkin does. Let's use these 4 questions whenever we have a problem to solve. The first step, naturally, is to memorize them. Please do that. 1. What is the problem? 2. What are the causes of the problem? 3. What are the possible solutions? And 4. What is the best possible solution? These 4 problem-solving questions can be used in a memorandum or letter as well as in a conference. They can even be used effectively over the telephone. Let's see how you can use these 4 questions in a conference. Suppose, for example, that we are partners in a retail store and are holding a conference because our profits are falling off. So we proceed like this. Step 1. What is the problem? Answer. Profits are falling. Step 2. What are the causes of the problem? Answer. Members of the partnership have various ideas as to causes, among them prices too high, lack of appeal in advertising, delivery service slow, credit practice bad, or discourteous clerks. Step 3. What are the possible solutions? Answer. Cut prices, get new advertising managers, buy more delivery trucks, instruct the credit manager to allow more liberal credit terms and institute a better collection system, offer clerks a bonus for sales, and get clerks to be more courteous. And step 4. What is the best possible solution? Answer. Let's assume that the partners agree that the best solution to work on the clerks is to get them to be more courteous in dealing with customers. Sometimes the best solution may be a combination of 2 or more of the possible solutions offered. It will pay you to memorize the rules below, because you will certainly take part in several conferences in the Dale Carnegie course, and because you will perhaps serve also as a conference leader. You ought to know the rules of leading a conference and the rules for taking part of a conference. How to lead a conference effectively. 1. Open the conference with a brief statement on the problem, then check with the group to be sure that the problem is understood. 2. Ask for causes of the problem. 3. Make frequent summaries. 4. Ask for possible solutions to the problem as well as evidence to support each solution. 5. When the conference has gone far enough, make a final summary, then call for a vote. 6. If desirable, appoint an individual or committee to see that the decision is translated into action. 7. Never express your own personal ideas. And in parentheses, your job is to direct and lead, not to participate in the discussion. End of parentheses. 8. Pay little attention to the rules of parliamentary law. If, however, you have a dozen or more people in a conference, you should require that anyone who wishes to speak must obtain recognition from the chair. The person who wishes to speak may raise their hand or say, "Mr. Chairman." You recognize him by stating his name or by nodding your head. 9. Keep the conference moving and on the track. Speed, short talks. Stop the person who tries to talk too often or too long. Stop the person who tries to get off track. Remind him that the question we are discussing is so and so, so let's please stick to it. And 10. See that everyone participates, but never go around the table to ask each person for their view. How to take part in a conference. You will get more done in a conference if all participants observe these 8 rules. Don't rise to speak unless the conference is a large one. Talk from your chair. 2. Keep your talks brief and on the problem. 3. Be careful of your tone of voice. Speak in an easy, conversational way. 4. Take up only one solution to the problem at a time. 5. Support every solution you suggest with evidence that will help you win your point. Your supporting evidence may be in the form of any of the following: an incident, statistics, the testimony of an expert, or demonstration, an exhibit, an analogy, or any combination of these. Suppose, for example, that your problem is traffic accidents are increasing, and one solution is automobile manufacturers should install more safety equipment. This solution could be supported with 1. An exhibit of part or of a padded or foam rubber dashboard. 2. A demonstration of headlight automatically dimming as another light contacts it. 3. An analogy wherein the safety belt of an airplane is compared to the safety belt of an automobile. Another solution to the same problem is require periodic inspection of the motor vehicles. This could be supported with 4. Statistics showing that in New Jersey, which adopted compulsory inspections in 1937, showed an 8.45 degree decrease in deaths per 100,000 vehicle miles from 1937 to 1950. And 5. Expert testimony of Thomas N. Boat, formerly chief of the Traffic Division of the Pennsylvania State Police, that Pennsylvania is the only state in the nation which has reduced traffic deaths every year since 1946, and they have a periodic inspection of law. Or with 6. An incident type example. In 1958 in Cleveland, Ohio, a friend of mine was stopped by a policeman during a local drive on a faulty vehicle and learned that his horn, lights, and brakes were below standard of operating efficiency. He had these repaired immediately and improved later, the brakes added in averting an accident. In a conference, don't just make claims. Haven't you sat in a conference and a committee meeting where time was being wasted in this kind of conferring? Of course it will work. Or, well, I said it won't. And you're wrong. No, I'm not. It worked for other people. Well, maybe, but I've never heard of them. Well, shucks, there's a lot of them. Well, you're crazy. Maybe it worked for the guy in Arkansas. What guy? Well, I don't recall his name, but I know it worked all right. And so on and so on. All claims, no facts, no evidence, no attempts to prove claims, nothing that helps participants to arrive at a decision. In a conference, you should avoid making mere claims. You should support any solution which suggests that the problem under discussion with some evidence that it will work. Returning back to the list of how to take part in a conference, number 6 is listen attentively to all speakers. 7. Don't interrupt other speakers. And 8. Instead of making direct assertions, ask questions. If a speaker makes a statement with which you disagree, don't argue, but ask him what he believes, as he does. If why is asked on the proper tone, it won't arouse resentment, and it enables you to find out why the other person feels as he does. It may get you a highly valuable information. Use the How to Win Friends rule too. In addition to the rules given above, 30 of the rules set forth in How to Win Friends and Influence People should also govern your words and actions as a leader or participant in a conference. Final word. If you will use the problem-solving questions and if you will observe the rules of leading a conference and for participating in a conference, you will find this a most helpful publication. The next time you are scheduled to take part in a conference, read this booklet, not only before the conference, but also take it to the conference with you. You may want to refer to it. Continue to do this and note how much more you get done in the conference and how much more quickly you do it. And such concludes our little pamphleture of How to Save Time and Get Better Results in Conferences by Dale Carnegie.